Hey everybody, it's Modern Refugee. Kind of getting ready for a hike coming up here, so I got some of my fire making stuff out and about, and I thought it'd be nice to make a video for you guys, kind of talk about a few things. Some of this stuff is commercially available, and some of it's stuff that I've improvised. Also, kind of want to show some small things here. I know a lot of people live in apartments and stuff, and they don't have the ability to store like a bunch of propane or big propane appliances and stuff like Coleman stoves or grills or whatnot. So I'm kind of showing some of these smaller things that people that are in smaller living areas don't can maybe store this stuff, and it'll help them out a little bit. Some of these things I've already done, kind of mentioned in other videos. I kind of had an alternate Tinder video, and I got a Crisco candle video that are kind of on the same line as this stuff. I'll put a link in the description for those videos if you guys want to check those out too. But gonna kind of just go through this stuff here. This is kind of my Crisco candles here. I make these with Crisco. Another reason to keep Crisco around, or the off-brand equivalent. You can use those to use that stuff to make candles out of. I'm not going to go into it here because there's a whole other video on it if you guys want to check it out. But this is one of the first things that I kind of kept around when I started hiking and getting into this kind of stuff, is a sterno stove. And I've had this sterno stove for quite a while. But what it is it just takes cans of sterno. Everybody kind of knows what sterno is. It's a gelled fuel. Lasts a couple hours. You can use it to cook and warm stuff up on, and all you do is you kind of open this up here and you kind of set a can in. That's all basically what that is, and you put the lid back on it when you want to shut it down, and then you can reuse it again. One of the things, sometimes you got to adjust these little wires here so the stuff sets in decent. Kind of the pros and cons of sterno. One of the pros, I guess, is it's easy to find. You can find it a lot of places, hardware stores, big box stores and stuff. One thing I don't like about it is it takes a while to boil water. If you've ever boiled water kind of with a sterno stove, it takes a little bit. It takes a little bit to boil a couple cups of water if you're making freeze-dried food or something like that. So that's one thing I kind of don't like about it. I've kind of moved away from carrying this kind of stuff in my pack to some other things. But for home use, or you can keep it around for like if the power goes out or something like that inside a building, it's going to it's going to work all right for you. It's alcohol, so it doesn't stink too much. This is kind of a more of a modern version of it. It's a biofuel here, and this is something else. Works pretty much like sterno, lasts a lot longer. This stuff's actually refillable, so you can get some refills for these tins, I guess, cans, so you can use those over and over again. A couple other things. These are kind of more improvised, but I don't know if most folks know this, but hand sanitizer is mostly alcohol. It's gelled alcohol. This here's got aloe in it, but this will actually burn. I mean, you can light this with a lighter, and you're gonna have no problem using that to start a fire. Same thing with these alcohol swabs. I kind of carry alcohol swabs in my pack and first aid kit and stuff, but these are also can be used as fire starters. You can actually open one of those up and strike it with a ferro rod or light it with a lighter, and it's going to light for you. This kind of fire starting gel here, this is kind of something that they've come out with in the last few years. Kind of tried it out. It worked good for starting fires, but you can also kind of put a little bit of that in a metal container if you need it to burn for a little bit. So if you want to just put a drop or two of that on like a can lid like I got it here, you can actually light that up and start a fire with it. That way you don't kind of waste your lighter. So that's kind of what that is. Also, it's kind of basically the same stuff that's in this sterno stove here. This stuff is a little bit gelled, a little bit harder than what this is, but I don't see any reason why you couldn't take this stuff here and refill the sterno cans with it as well. This is another sterno product here. It's an emergency candle. I've had a couple of different ones of these. These are actually pretty nice. These burn a long time. They got a real small little flame on them. They kind of, in a little tip-proof base here, they set up pretty easy. They got a little chimney on them and stuff. This is a brand new one here that I haven't used. And this one here is one that I've used a couple different times already. And when this is burned out, instead of pitching this, I figured, the wick is still good on it. This has got kind of a crimped end on it. I actually took this top off here and refilled it with just regular lamp oil, and it still works perfectly fine for me. It's got a chimney on it, so you can cover the flame up like that. So you can reuse these. You know, if it's a bad situation, you might want to look at reusing some of this stuff here that's supposedly disposable. It can be reused with just a little bit of work, nothing too bad. Another thing, this is kind of like the quintessential, you know, sportsman's tinder, is petroleum jelly and cotton balls. And what I do is I'll just take the petroleum jelly out, put it in an old pot, melt it down. I'll throw a whole bunch of cotton balls in there till they're all soaked up. Then I'll take the container of that the Vaseline or petroleum jelly was in, and I'm just going to fill that right back up with my cotton balls, and then this stores. So I can make up, you know, 3-4 of these and kind of just stack these on a shelf till I'm ready to use them. This is another improvised tinder that I make. It's just drywall, paper drywall tape soaked in paraffin, and you can just carry a little piece of this in your pack, rip a piece off, light it with your Bic lighter or whatever, and this will actually burns pretty good. Kind of snap, crackles, and pops when it burns, and it will burn for a while. So then you can use this to start your tinder up or whatnot. Another thing is tea lights. Tea lights, something that you can carry in a pack or whatever. You can use this to light it like with your Bic lighter, and you can light your fire with it, and that way you don't have to stand there with your Bic lighter lit the whole time trying to get your stuff going. You can kind of use this instead, and that way you can save your Bic lighter so it lasts a little bit longer. This here's kind of my favorite thing that I carry. I've kind of switched over to this. I carry these in my packs now. It's these little backpack stoves. They take a small canister of gas here. This folds up really small. You put it on here, light it. You can set a metal cup or something on the top of that, or one of those little backpack meal kits, or a metal bottle or something. You can boil water pretty quick in these. 3 to 4 minutes, you can usually have a couple cups of water boiling pretty good. That's kind of why I've switched over to this. I kind of like it. The only thing, bad thing with this is if it's really windy, these can be kind of a bear to light when they're windy. So you got to kind of keep that in mind. You have to have just a little bit of a sheltered place to light something like this. But anyway, I find it more reliable and easier to use than pretty much anything else, and that's kind of why I carry it. Matches, kind of the old standby. I keep just regular box matches around. These are pretty cheap, and then I do take it to an extra step, and I vacuum seal these, and then kind of store them. So if I need some matches or whatever, I don't have to worry about any moisture or anything getting on these. These are going to last quite a while for me. This here's kind of an improvised thing. When I was a kid, corn cobs are actually a really good resource. If you have corn cobs in your area, if you're like in a farming area or something, it's kind of advantageous to keep a few corn cobs around. You can actually use these for fuel. These will make a kind of real bright, clear fire. But you can also use these for tinder, for lighting and stuff. And kind of was the thing that I did when I was a kid. First learning how to light wood stoves and stuff is the old timers, they would take corn cobs like this. They would put them either in an old tin can or an old jar, and they would put a 1/4 cup of kerosene down in there. And that corn cob actually acts like a wick. That's going to draw that up into it. You can set that inside your wood stove. You can light it. It's going to burn. Like I said, it'll burn like a candle. So corn cobs have a lot of different uses. I mean, if you have a place where you can get a bunch of corn cobs around a farm or something, it's something worth having. Another thing I always carry with me in my pack, I always carry a can of Zippo lighter fluid. I'm kind of a fan of carrying a little bit of lighter fluid when you're hiking or in your kind of get home bag or bug out bag, whatever they call it. I kind of enjoy being able to light a fire in like a couple of seconds and not have to screw around with stuff. So the little can of lighter fluid with 2 or 3 drops of lighter fluid on some tinder, you'd be surprised what that'll do for you. It really helps out. So I kind of always carry that in my packs, and I tell people who are making packs to put some of that along in with it. And of course, then the Zippo lighter, if you carry a Zippo lighter with you too, you can actually refill your Zippo lighter when you're out in the field, and you can use it. Just some of my fire starting stuff here. The ferro rod, of course, that's kind of like the end thing anymore. Everybody's kind of going to those. There's a couple different styles of them. This is another ferro rod here. It's actually encased in a plastic handle, and it's got a end on it here where you can actually include some tinder with your ferro rod. Gerber used to make these. They were called a Strike Force here. This is kind of a knockoff on them, but this is actually, I've had this for quite a while. These work pretty good. Put a little tape on it there if I need some tape or something. Bic lighters. One thing I want to mention about Bic lighters, this is the one I've been carrying for quite a while in my pocket. Just wrap it with a little tape. That's kind of the in way of carrying that stuff. But Bic lighters, if it's really cold, can kind of be a pain. The colder it gets, the less these want to work. So if you're in a really cold environment, it's almost better to have a couple different fire starting methods with you, because sometimes these don't work. It starts getting down to 20 degrees, 15 degrees. That butane in here does not like that super, super cold. So anyway, just kind of keep that in mind if you're carrying a Bic lighter around. If it's really, really cold, maybe it's best to have some matches or lifeboat matches or a ferro rod or something else with you too, just kind of as a backup, because this works great when it's warm, but sometimes when it's really, really cold, they don't work so good. So anyway, just keep that in mind. I still carry one though. No reason not to carry them. I mean, it's not always 15 degrees outside, so there's a lot of times during the year when you can use something like this. And then just candles, the different varieties. You know, you can have all the candles in the world as far as I'm concerned. You're going to be able to use them. They're going to be worth something. Even in the worst situation, a candle's going to come in handy. And then just the regular, you know, these are the kind of lighters that I just kind of keep around the house for different things. Again, very inexpensive. You can get these usually for around $1, and they last quite a while. Some of them are even refillable. Of course, I haven't found the refillable ones to be real reliable 100%, so I just kind of keep these disposable ones around and use them to light whatever I need lighted in the house. Like I said, in the house, it's going to light a lot easier because it's not as cold as it is if you're out in the woods or something. So I really recommend carrying something like this in a pack, but for home use or in an apartment or something, these actually work really good. But anyway, that's kind of my fire making spiel here. I just kind of wanted to show you guys some of this stuff and talk about it a little bit. I don't know if everybody knows what all this stuff is or how it can be utilized, but anyway, just some improvised things here that I use, and some commercially available stuff. And I hope you guys got a little information out of this. You can maybe factor some of this into your fire making stuff, especially like if you're in an apartment or if you're in a town where you can't have a big old tank of propane at your disposal, or a big old stack of firewood for that matter. But anyway, this is a Modern Refugee. Just kind of wanted to go over this stuff with you. Kind of want to say thank you to all my subscribers out there. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you guys got any questions, you can put them down in the comments. I'll try to answer them for you the best I can. And you guys have a great day. Kind of want to emphasize the Bic lighter in the cold. This is my Bic lighter right here that I normally carry. I toss this in the freezer for about half an hour. You can see kind of the little itty bitty flame that it's making right there, because this lighter is ice cold. Now this is a room temperature lighter. You can see the difference in the flame. So if you're using a Bic lighter out in the cold, keep that in mind. Maybe have a alternate just in case it doesn't want to cooperate with you. But I just kind of wanted to show you guys this little bit of information maybe some of you didn't know.